How are you guys doing? Today is December 15th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I am going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances that would take place on Wednesday, December 14th. And I am going to preview what's going on today, but before I do so, I'm going to take a quick step back and look at where we are in the calendar year. In Qatar, there are two teams left competing for the FIFA World Cup title, as we still have a third place game to be played on Saturday. Of course, after yesterday's matchup, the two teams that will be playing in Saturday's game will be Morocco and Croatia, and France will be facing off against Argentina in the final, and I'll get to how France beat Morocco in a second. Taking a look into what's going on with college sports and looking at college football, the college football season will end with bowl season, as bowl season will start off on Friday, which is tomorrow, with the first couple matchups, one of which will include two ranked teams. Taking a look at what's going on with college basketball, there were three matchups including ranked teams, one of them in which both teams were ranked. Taking a look at what's going on at the professional level, the 15th week of the NFL starts today, as the Niners will go all the way up to Seattle, as they're only 2 wins apart from one another at the top of the division. Taking a look at what's going on with arena sports, the NHL would have 3 games yesterday, as the NBA would have a whole schedule of games, and that's pretty much all that's going on here. But with that said, I am going to take a quick look into what's going on in the FIFA World Cup. Starting off with how France and Morocco would even get to the semifinal round. Morocco would finish at the very top of their group, which would include Croatia, after finishing with 7 points in Group 7, after drawing with Croatia, beating Belgium and Canada. In the round of 16, Morocco would see themselves beat Spain 3-0 after going 120 minutes scoreless. In the quarterfinal round, Morocco would beat Portugal 1-0 off of a first half goal in the 42nd minute from Youssef En-Nesyri. Looking at how their opponent France would make it here, after of course finishing at the very top of the World Cup, finishing as the winners in 2018 in Russia. France would finish at the very top of their group in Group D, picking up wins over Australia and Denmark before losing their third matchup in Tunisia after they had already clinched the top of the group. In the round of 16, France would beat Poland 3-1, their first goal coming from their striker Olivier Giroud, who now holds the most international goals in French history. And then, of course, their next 2 goals would come from Kylian Mbappe, as both of them came in the second half. He is now tied with Lionel Messi for the most goals in the World Cup. Messi has more assists, which is why Messi is in the lead for the Golden Boot right now. In the quarterfinal round, France would beat England 2-1. Their first goal would come from Aurélien Tchouameni, and after Harry Kane would make his penalty, Olivier Giroud would score in the 78th minute to put them into this particular round. And once they got a chance to face off against Morocco, by the chance they were playing each other, Argentina had already beaten Croatia on Tuesday. And in yesterday's matchup, France would beat Morocco to face off in the final for the second year in a row. The first goal from the defending champs would come as early as the 5th minute from Theo Hernandez, the defender who currently plays for AC Milan in Italy. Their second goal would come in the second half from their forward, who plays from the German club Eintracht Frankfurt, Randal Kolo Muani. After his game-sealing goal, France would seal a place for themselves in the World Cup final for the second time in a row, where they will face off against Argentina, a nation that has won the World Cup before. And with this loss, Morocco will face off against Croatia on Saturday, the day before the World Cup final. Morocco, regardless of whether they win or lose, this will be their best finish in their nation's history. Before this year, the only time they had made it out of the group stage was in 1986 in Mexico, where they made it to the round of 16. They are going for the first medal in their nation's history on Saturday. Looking at Croatia, this will be the second time in the World Cup history in a row that they would make it to the semifinals. This time they would end up losing. They're trying to go for their second medal in a row. They would finish with silver medals after finishing as runners-up to France in 2018, and they had won the third place medal in 1998 when the World Cup was in France, the first time they were representing the nation of Croatia. And so that's how that third place game is going to be settled. And of course, on the winning end of this matchup, France is going to try to win the World Cup for the third time in their nation's history. The first time they won it was in 1998 after Argentina had won both of theirs, and their most recent was in 2018. They are looking to be the third repeat champion in World Cup history. The first nation to do it was Italy in 1934 and 1938. The second nation to do it was Brazil in 1958 and 1962. And then, of course, on the other side, Argentina is looking to win their third World Cup in nation history. The last time they would win it was in 1986 in Mexico. Lionel Messi looking, of course, to win the one trophy that, of course, would complete his trophy collection, even though many would consider his trophy collection complete already. But of course, that matchup will be determined and settled into the history books on Sunday at 10 a.m. So of course, a lot is going on up until then, but that is how it's going to be settled, as we have 2 more games left in this World Cup to give out medals. Taking a look at what's going on back here in the U.S., bowl season in college football will start tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. on ESPN. Unranked UAB will face off against unranked Miami, Ohio in the hometown Lenders Bahamas Bowl in Nassau. Both teams are 6-6. And then at 3 o'clock, 24th ranked Troy, who's 11-2, is going to face off against 25th ranked UTSA, who is also 11-2, in Exploria Stadium in Orlando, Florida, as this is going to be the Duluth Trading Care Bowl just to kick off this bowl season. Jumping out to college basketball, the 16th ranked UCLA Bruins were the highest ranked team to play. They would go all the way to Maryland to beat the 20th ranked Terrapins 87-60. They won this game by 27 after outscoring Maryland by 29 in the first half, more than doubling their output. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Terrapins would be led in scoring by their guard off the bench, Ian Martinez. He had 16 points in 22 minutes. He shot 6 for 9 from the field and 4 for 5 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the visiting 16th ranked Bruins would be led in scoring by their starting guard, Jalen Clark. Their junior from Riverside, California, would finish with 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 steals in 22 minutes. He would shoot 7 for 11 from the field and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. With this win, the 16th ranked UCLA Bruins are 9-2. They are currently undefeated on the road, as they are 2-0. With this loss, the 20th ranked Maryland Terrapins are 8-3, as this was their first loss at home all year, and it was by almost 30. Looking at the 17th ranked team in the nation, the Mississippi State Bulldogs would face off against the unranked Jackson State Tigers. They would beat unranked Jackson State at Jackson State 69-59. They won this game by 10 after outscoring the Tigers by 5 in both halves, as they were led in scoring by their starting forward, DJ Jeffries. The Bulldogs senior out of Olive Branch, Mississippi, would finish with 15 points and 5 rebounds, as well as 2 steals in 35 minutes. He would shoot 5 for 13 from the field and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. With this road win, the Mississippi State Bulldogs are 10-0. They remain undefeated so far, as with this loss, unranked Jackson State is 1-9, having lost 9 of their first 10 games this year. That's what 1-9 means. Taking a look at what happened with the 19th ranked team in the nation, the Auburn Tigers would host unranked Georgia State. They would beat the Panthers by 8. They beat them 72-64 after they would outscore Georgia State by 11 in the second half. They would go into halftime trailing by 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the 19th ranked Tigers were led in scoring by their starting forward, Jalen Williams. Their senior out of Nahunta, Georgia, would finish with 20 points as well as 8 rebounds and 3 blocks in 27 minutes. He shot 8 for 11 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and he would make both of his free throws. With this win, the 19th ranked Auburn Tigers are 9-1, and they are undefeated at home through their first 7 games so far. And with this loss, the unranked Georgia State Panthers are 5-5 to start their season. So that is what these teams are looking like as we move into today's college basketball game amongst ranked teams. The 22nd ranked Wisconsin Badgers are set to host Lehigh on Big Ten Network in Kohl Center at 7 o'clock. Wisconsin enters this game with an 8-2 record. Taking a look at what's going on at the professional level, starting off with the NFL, the 15th week of the NFL season will start today. Week 15 out of 18 will start with the Seattle Seahawks at 7-6, hosting the 9-4 San Francisco 49ers. The Niners enter this matchup with a 6-game winning streak, the longest active winning streak in the NFL. The Seahawks are currently sitting right outside of the playoff picture because they have one more loss than the Giants and Commanders because they tied. They are sitting right behind them. A win for the Seahawks could propel them into the playoff picture temporarily. And then, of course, a win for the 49ers could possibly see them leapfrog the Minnesota Vikings, depending on if the Minnesota Vikings lose in the up-and-coming games. So this is an important game for both sides. Taking a look at what's going on in the NHL, as we're still in the beginning of that season. The Ottawa Senators would host the Montreal Canadiens. Ottawa would end up beating Montreal 3-2 at home, as all 3 of their goals would come in the second period, all of them assisted by Ottawa's right winger Alex DeBrincat out of Farmington Hills, Michigan. He would be the top star of the game. The second star would be Ottawa's left winger Brady Tkachuk. With this win at home, Ottawa's holding on to a 13-4-2 record. Their 28 points in 29 games is tied with the Buffalo Sabres for the worst record in the Atlantic Division. The Philadelphia Flyers and the Columbus Blue Jackets are the 2 teams in the Eastern Conference with worse records than they do, as they are sitting in the Metropolitan Division. The Senators are currently sitting 19 points behind the division-leading Boston Bruins. They're on a 3-game winning streak at the moment. The Toronto Maple Leafs, the New York Rangers, the Washington Capitals, and the Pittsburgh Penguins all have longer winning streaks in the Eastern Conference than they do. With this win, however, they've won 7 of their last 10 games to date. And with this loss, the Montreal Canadiens are 14-3-2. Their 30 points in 29 games is the 3rd worst record in the Atlantic Division. They sit 2 points ahead of the Senators, and they sit 17 points behind the division-leading Boston Bruins. They have lost 5 of their last 10 games to date. Taking a look at what would happen in Minnesota, the Wild would host the Detroit Red Wings from not that far away. The Wild would beat the Red Wings 4-1 after scoring 2 goals in the 3rd period. The Red Wings would not get a lead at all after the Wild scored the first 2 and the last 2 goals of the game, sandwiching the Red Wings goal in the middle. The 3rd star of this game would be Minnesota's goalie out of Sweden, Philip Gustafsson. He would allow just 1 goal all day, as he had 16 saves. With this win at home, the Minnesota Wild are 16-11-2. As of right now, the Wild are holding on to 34 points in 29 games. That is the 3rd best record in the Central Division. They sit 5 points behind the division-leading Dallas Stars. The Wild are on a 3-game winning streak right now. They hold on to the longest active winning streak in the East. In the Eastern, they hold on to the longest active winning streak in the West. Right now, in the Eastern Conference, the Capitals, the Rangers, and the Penguins all hold on to longer active losing streaks at this very moment in time, as well as the Toronto Maple Leafs. Alongside their 3-game winning streak, the Wild have won 7 of their last 10 games to date. With this loss, the Detroit Red Wings are 13-10-6. Their 32 points in 29 games is tied with the Florida Panthers for the 4th best record in the Atlantic Division. They sit 15 points behind the division-leading Boston Bruins. Their 4-game losing streak is tied with the Philadelphia Flyers for the longest active losing streak in the Eastern Conference. It's also tied with the Calgary Flames and the Nashville Predators and the Chicago Blackhawks for the longest active losing streak in the entire NHL. Alongside their 4-game losing streak, the Red Wings have lost 7 of their last 10 games to date. And then last but not least, the Calgary Flames would host the Vancouver Canucks. Calgary would end up beating Vancouver 3-4 at home. The Canucks would end up beating the Flames in a shootout after the Flames would see the Canucks tied up in the second. The Calgary Flames would score 3 unanswered to take advantage. The only game in shootout would be scored by Andrei Kuzmenko of Vancouver, as their goalie would save all 3 of the shots. With this shootout win on the road, the Vancouver Canucks are holding on to a 13-13-3 record. Their 29 points in 29 games is the 3rd worst record in the Pacific Division. They sit 14 points behind the division-leading Vegas Golden Knights. They've won 7 of their last 10 games to date, however. And with this loss, the Calgary Flames are 13-11-6. Their 32 points in 30 games is the 5th best record in the Pacific Division. They sit 11 points behind the division-leading Vegas Golden Knights. The Flames are on a 4-game losing streak at the moment, tied with the Predators and the Blackhawks for the longest active losing streak in the West. They are also tied with the Detroit Red Wings and the Philadelphia Flyers for the longest active losing streak in the NHL. That, of course, leads us into what's going on today. At 7 o'clock, the Boston Bruins, who are holding on to the best record in the NHL, are going to host the LA Kings. At the same time, the Hurricanes are going to host the Kraken, as the Hurricanes have the 2nd best record in the Metropolitan Division. The Kraken have the 2nd best record in the Pacific Division. At 7 o'clock, the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are holding on to the longest active winning streak in the NHL at 6 games, are going to go to Florida to face off against the Panthers. The Montreal Canadiens are going to host the Anaheim Ducks, who are holding on to the league's worst record. At the same time, the New York Rangers are going to host the Toronto Maple Leafs, as the Maple Leafs look to extend their winning streak to 5 games. At 7 o'clock, the New Jersey Devils, who hold the best record in their division, are going to host the Philadelphia Flyers, who are holding on to the league's longest active losing streak at 4 games. At 7 o'clock, the Tampa Bay Lightning are set to host the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Washington Capitals are holding on to a 5-game winning streak, as they are going to host the Central Division leading Dallas Stars. At 8 o'clock, the Winnipeg Jets are set to host the Nashville Predators, as the Predators hold a 4-game losing streak. At 8:30, the Pacific Division leading Vegas Golden Knights are going to face off against the Blackhawks, as the Blackhawks hold a 4-game losing streak too. At 9 o'clock, the defending champs Colorado Avalanche are set to host the Buffalo Sabres in Ball Arena. And then at 9 o'clock, the Edmonton Oilers are going to host the St. Louis Blues. Jumping out to the NBA, starting out in Charlotte, the Hornets would host the Detroit Pistons. Both of these teams are still holding on to single-digit amount of wins. The Pistons would beat the Hornets in overtime, 141-134. As with this win, the Pistons were able to end their losing skid as the Hornets' losing streak continues. The Pistons were able to outscore the Hornets 14-7 in overtime, after the Hornets would outscore the Pistons by 10 in the fourth quarter to force overtime in the first place. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Charlotte Hornets would be led in scoring by their starting shooting guard out of Kansas, Kelly Oubre Jr. He had 28 points and 8 rebounds, as well as 3 steals, as he nearly fouled out in 40 minutes. He shot 10 for 27 from the field, 5 for 13 from 3, and 3 for 5 from the free throw line. Charlotte's starting shooting guard, Terry Rozier, had 25 points and 5 rebounds in 42 minutes. He shot 8 for 28 from the field and 7 for 8 from the free throw line. line. Charlotte's elite starting point guard, LaMelo Ball, had 23 points and 11 assists as he fouled out in 34 minutes. He shot 9 for 18 from the field, 5 for 13 from 3 as well. Charlotte's power forward off the bench, Jalen McDaniels, had 21 points and 6 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 9 from the field, a perfect 3 for 3 from 3, and he would make all 4 of his free throws as well. Charlotte's starting center out of Duke, Mason Plumlee, would finish with 12 points and 18 rebounds in 34 minutes. He shot 5 for 8 from the field as he shot 2 for 4 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the visiting Detroit Pistons would be led in scoring by their shooting guard off the bench, Alec Burks. Their guard out of Colorado would finish the game with 27 points in 26 minutes. He shot 8 for 12 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and 7 for 8 from the free throw line. Detroit's starting point guard, Killian Hayes, would finish with 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists in 34 minutes. He would shoot 9 for 19 from the field, 5 for 11 from 3, and 2 for 5 from the free throw line. The Pistons starting small forward out of Croatia, Bojan Bogdanovic, would finish with 24 points in 37 minutes. He would shoot 8 for 19 from the field, and he would shoot 5 for 6 from the free throw line. Detroit's starting center, Isaiah Stewart, would finish with 19 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 41 minutes. He shot 8 for 10 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. With this overtime win on the road, the Detroit Pistons are 8-22. They have the second worst record in the Eastern Conference now that they have one more win than the Hornets. They sit 14.5 games behind the conference leading Boston Celtics. They've won 3 of their last 10 games to date, just like the Hornets. And with this loss, the Charlotte Hornets are 7-21. They are holding the worst record in the entire NBA, win percentage-wise. They are the only team with less than 8 wins in the NBA right now. They sit 14.5 games behind the conference-leading Boston Celtics. Their 6-game losing streak is the second longest active losing streak in the East, behind the Washington Wizards. The Hornets have lost 7 of their last 10 games to date. Jumping out to Indianapolis, the Pacers would host the Golden State Warriors. The Pacers would beat the Warriors at home 125-119. They won this game by 6 and would make sure that the Warriors would lose their 13th away game in their first 15, actually. Indiana would outscore the Warriors by 19 in the second quarter alone. On the losing end of this matchup, the visiting Warriors were led in scoring by their future Hall of Fame point guard Stephen Curry. He would finish with 38 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals in 30 minutes. He shot 11 for 19 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and he would make all 11 of his free throw attempts. Golden State starting shooting guard Jordan Poole had 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists as he nearly fouled out in 33 minutes. He shot 8 for 22 from the field as he made all 3 of his free throw attempts. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Indiana Pacers would be led in scoring by their starting point guard Tyrese Halliburton. He had 29 points, 6 assists, and 2 blocks as he had 6 turnovers in 34 minutes. He shot 9 for 17 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the free throw line. The Pacers shooting guard off the bench and their rookie out of Arizona, Benedict Mathurin, finished with 24 points and 6 rebounds as he nearly fouled out in 36 minutes. He shot 8 for 14 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3. He would make all 4 of his free throw attempts. Indiana's starting center out of Texas, Miles Turner, had 21 points and 2 steals as he nearly fouled out in 31 minutes. He shot 8 for 11 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and 3 for 5 from the free throw line. With this win at home, the Indiana Pacers are 15-14, sitting a game above 500. They hold on to the 7th best record in the Eastern Conference. They are sitting 7 games behind the conference leading Boston Celtics. The Pacers have won 4 of their last 10 games to date. And with this loss, the defending champions Golden State Warriors are 14-15. They are holding on to the 10th best record in the Western Conference. They sit 5 games behind the Pelicans and the Grizzlies at the top of the conference. Conference. The Warriors have lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 5 of their last 10. Despite holding one of the best home records in the Western Conference, tied with the Grizzlies, they hold one of the worst records in terms of away records in the Western Conference, with as many away losses as the Houston Rockets. Taking a look now at what happened in Orlando, Florida, the Magic would host the Atlanta Hawks. The Magic would end up beating the Hawks 135-124 to extend the Hawks' losing streak to 2 games, as the Magic have won their last 4 games to date. The Magic would end up outscoring the Hawks by 28 points in the first quarter. They would score 50 points as a team in the first quarter, as on the losing end of this matchup, the visiting Atlanta Hawks would be led out in scoring by their starting small forward out of Virginia, DeAndre Hunter. He had 25 points and 6 rebounds in 38 minutes. He shot 6 for 14 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, and he would shoot 9 for 10 from the free throw line. Atlanta's elite starting point guard, Trae Young, finished with 19 points, 3 rebounds, 16 assists, and 5 turnovers in 39 minutes. He would shoot 6 for 15 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the free throw line. On Atlanta's bench, their power forward out of USC, Onyeka Okongwu, had 15 points and 11 rebounds in 26 minutes. He shot 4 for 8 from the field and 7 for 8 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Orlando Magic were led in scoring by their starting small forward out of Michigan, Franz Wagner. He had 24 points in 36 minutes. He shot 7 for 17 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and 7 for 8 from the free throw line. Orlando's starting center out of Oregon, Bol Bol, had 21 points and 7 rebounds in 27 minutes. He would shoot 7 for 13 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. Orlando's starting power forward, the number 1 overall pick from this draft, Paolo Banchero, would finish with 20 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals in 34 minutes. He would shoot 6 for 16 from the field and 6 for 7 from the free throw line. With this win at home, the Orlando Magic are 9-20. They're holding on to the 3rd worst record in the Eastern Conference. They now sit 13 games behind the conference leading Celtics. Their 4-game winning streak just sits behind the New York Knicks for the longest active winning streak in the Eastern Conference. The Magic have won 4 of their last 10 games to date. And with this loss, the Atlanta Hawks are 14-15. They are tied with the Miami Heat for the 8th best record in the East. They now sit 8 games behind the conference-leading Celtics. The Hawks are on a 2-game losing streak, as they've lost 7 of their last 10 games to date. Jumping out to Toronto in Canada, the Raptors would host the Sacramento Kings. The Kings would beat the Raptors by 1 on the road, 124-123. They would outscore the Raptors by 7 in the 4th quarter to win the game by 1. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Raptors would be led in scoring by their starting shooting guard and former All-Star out of Wichita State, Fred VanVleet. He had 39 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals in 38 minutes. He would shoot 13 for 25 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, and he would shoot a perfect 11 for 11 from the free throw line. The Raptors starting small forward and former Rookie of the Year, Scotty Barnes, would finish with 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 10 assists in 40 minutes. He shot 10 for 16 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and he would shoot 5 for 6 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the visiting Sacramento Kings would be led in scoring by their starting point guard out of Kentucky, De'Aaron Fox. He had 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 10 assists in 41 minutes. He would shoot 9 for 23 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and 5 for 7 from the free throw line. Sacramento starting power forward, Domantas Sabonis, would finish with 21 points, 20 rebounds, 7 assists, and 5 turnovers in 40 minutes. He would shoot 10 for 13 from the field, as he made his only free throw on the day. Off the bench, the Kings shooting guard out of Kentucky, Malik Monk, had 24 points in 33 minutes, shooting 6 for 13 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and 7 for 8 from the foul line. or I guess with this win, the Sacramento Kings are 15-12. They now hold the 7th best record in the Western Conference. They are sitting 3 games behind the Pelicans and the Grizzlies, who are tied at the top. The Kings have won 5 of their last 10 games to date, and with this loss, the Toronto Raptors are 13-15. They are holding on to the 10th best record in the East. They sit 8.5 games behind the conference-leading Celtics. The Raptors are holding on to a 3-game losing streak at the moment. Only the Wizards and the Hornets have longer losing streaks in the East. The Raptors have lost 6 of their last 10 games to date. Jumping out to Chicago, the Bulls would host the New York Knicks. The Knicks would beat the Bulls in overtime 128-120. The Bulls would force overtime, but the Knicks would outscore the Bulls 11-3 in the overtime period to pick up their 15th win in 28 games. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Bulls would be led in scoring by their starting small forward, DeMar DeRozan. DeRozan had 32 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks, all in 40 minutes. He shot 8 for 18 from the field. He would shoot 16 for 17 from the free throw line last night. Chicago starting shooting guard Zach LaVine had 25 points and 5 rebounds in 41 minutes. He would shoot 11 for 23 from the field as he would make his only free throw. On the winning end of this matchup, the visiting New York Knicks were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Jalen Brunson. Brunson would also have the play of the day. His 30 points, 2 rebounds, and 7 assists in 39 minutes would come alongside him shooting 11 for 21 from the field. He would shoot 3 for 6 from 3 as he made all 5 of his free throw attempts. They were actually led in scoring, by Julius Randle, who had 1 more point. He had 31 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists, as he also had 6 turnovers in 46 minutes. He shot 8 for 19 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and 12 for 15 from the free throw line. New York starting shooting guard out of Duke, R.J. Barrett, had 22 points and 6 rebounds as he fouled out in 34 minutes. He shot 8 for 17 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and he would make both of his free throw attempts. With this win, the New York Knicks are 15-13. They now hold the 6th best record in the Eastern Conference, sitting 6.5 games behind the conference-leading Boston Celtics. The New York Knicks are holding on to a 5-game winning streak. Their 5-game winning streak is the longest active winning streak in the East. Only the Memphis Grizzlies have a longer winning streak in the NBA. The Knicks have won 6 of their last 10 games to date, and with this loss, the Chicago Bulls are 11-16. They hold the 5th worst record in the East. They sit 10 games behind the conference-leading Boston Celtics. They've lost their last 2 games as they've now lost 6 of their last 10 games to date. Taking a look now at what is going on in Oklahoma City now, the Thunder would host the Miami Heat. The Heat would end up beating the Thunder 110-108. They won this game by 2 on the road after outscoring the Thunder by 12 in the second quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Thunder would be led in scoring by their starting point guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He had 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. He had 5 turnovers in 36 minutes. He would shoot 10 for 20 from the field, and he would make all 6 of his free throws. OKC's starting shooting guard, Josh Giddey, had 19 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists in 36 minutes. He shot 9 for 15 from the field. On the winning end of this matchup, the visiting Miami Heat were led in scoring by their starting guard out of Kentucky, Tyler Hero. He had 35 points in 40 minutes alongside 3 rebounds and a couple of assists. In the 40 minutes he played, he shot 12 for 23 from the field, 9 for 17 from 3, and he would make both of his free throw attempts on the night. And with this win on the road, the Miami Heat now hold on to a record of 14-15. They are tied with the Atlanta Hawks for the 8th best record in the East. The Heat sit 8 games behind the conference-leading Celtics as they are on a 2-game winning streak. They've won 6 of their last 10 games to date. With this loss, the Oklahoma City Thunder are 11-17. That is the third worst record in the Western Conference. They now sit 7.5 games behind the New Orleans Pelicans and the Memphis Grizzlies, who are tied at the very top of the West right now. The Thunder are on a 4-game losing streak. Only the Phoenix Suns are holding on to a longer losing streak in the Western Conference than the OKC Thunder are, as the Thunder have lost 6 of their last 10 games to date. Taking a look now at what's going on in San Antonio, the Spurs would host the Portland Trail Blazers. The Trail Blazers would end up beating the Spurs 128-112. They won this game by 16 after they would outscore the Spurs by 11 in the first quarter. They were up by 16 at the half, and they would outscore the Spurs by an additional 8 in the fourth quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown San Antonio Spurs would be led in scoring by their starting small forward, Keldon Johnson. He had 25 points, 7 rebounds as well in 33 minutes, as he shot 10 for 16 from the field. He would shoot 1 for 3 from 3, and he would make 4 of his 8 free throw attempts on the day. On the winning end of this matchup, the visiting Trailblazers would be led in scoring by their elite starting point guard, Damian Lillard. Lillard would finish with 37 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and 5 turnovers in 36 minutes. He shot 14 for 23 from the field, 7 for 14 from 3, and he would make both of his free throws. The Trailblazers starting shooting guard, Anthony Simons, would finish with 23 points of his own in 33 minutes. He would shoot 9 for 15 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, as he did not attempt a free throw. With this win on the road, the Portland Trailblazers are 16-12. They are tied with the Phoenix Suns for the 4th best record in the West. They sit 2.5 games behind the Pelicans and the Grizzlies, who are tied at the top. The Trailblazers' 3-game winning streak is sitting behind the Memphis Grizzlies for the second longest active winning streak in the West, tied with the Nuggets and the Clippers. Alongside their 3-game winning streak, they've won 6 of their last 10 games to date, and with this loss, the San Antonio Spurs are 9-19. They now single-handedly hold the worst record in the Western Conference for right now, although with their win percentage, they still sit ahead of the Orlando Magic, the Detroit Pistons, and the Charlotte Hornets in terms of win percentage in the entire NBA. The Spurs have lost 7 of their last 10 games to date. And taking a look at what's going on in Dallas within the same state, the Dallas Mavericks would host a game, and there would be another Texas team that would lose at home, as the Cavs would beat the Mavs 105-90. They won it by 15 points after outscoring the Mavericks by 7 in the first quarter and then by 12 in the second, putting them up by 19 at halftime. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Dallas Mavericks were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard out of Slovenia, Luka Doncic. Doncic would finish with 30 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 turnovers in 39 minutes. He would shoot 9 for 23 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, and 10 for 11 from the free throw line. Off the bench, the Mavericks starting forward, Christian Wood, would finish with 20 points and 7 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the visiting Cleveland Cavaliers were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard, Donovan Mitchell. He would finish with 34 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists, as he nearly fouled out in 38 minutes. He would shoot 13 for 20 from the field, 6 for 9 from 3, and he would make both of his free throw attempts on the day. And within their starting lineup, Lamar Stevens, the Cavs starting forward, finished with 18 points and 11 rebounds in 38 minutes. He would shoot 8 for 15 from the field, and he would make one of his 2 free throw attempts. With this win on the road, the Cavaliers are 18-11. That is the 3rd best record in the Eastern Conference, as they now sit 4 games behind the conference leading Boston Celtics. Taking a look at how well they've done in the past 10 games, they've won 6 of them. And with this loss, the Mavericks are 14-14. Sitting at 500, they hold the 9th best record in the West. They sit 4.5 games behind the Pelicans and the Grizzlies, who lead the conference. The Mavericks have lost 5 of their last 10 games to date. Jumping out to the Mile High City in Denver, the Nuggets would host the Washington Wizards. The Nuggets would end up beating the Wizards 141-128 to extend the Wizards' losing streak to 8 games. The Nuggets won this game by 13 after they would outscore the Wizards by 7 in the first quarter and then by 8 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the visiting Washington Wizards were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard Kyle Kuzma. He had 24 points in 36 minutes. He shot 9 for 16 from the field and 4 for 8 from 3. Their starting point guard Monte Morris would finish with 20 points and 7 assists in 28 minutes as he shot 7 for 11 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. The Wizards small forward off the bench, Will Barton, had 22 points and 9 assists, as he also had 5 turnovers in 36 minutes. He would shoot 7 for 15 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and 4 for 7 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Nuggets would be led in scoring by their elite starting center. The reigning back-to-back MVP, Nikola Jokic, would finish with 43 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 steals, and 8 turnovers in 33 minutes. He would shoot 7 for 20 from the field and 9 for 10 from the free throw line. Off the bench, the Nuggets point guard Bones Hyland would finish with 23 points and 6 assists in 28 minutes. He shot 8 for 11 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. Back in the Nuggets starting lineup, their starting power forward, Aaron Gordon, had 22 points and 7 rebounds in 31 minutes, shooting 8 for 14 from the field and 6 for 7 from the free throw line. With this win at home, the Denver Nuggets are 17-10. They currently hold the 3rd best record in the Western Conference as they sit a game behind the Pelicans and the Grizzlies, who are both tied for the best record in the West. The Nuggets are on a 3-game winning streak right now as they've won 7 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Washington Wizards are 11-18. They are holding on to the 4th worst record in the Eastern Conference. They are sitting 11 games behind the conference leading Celtics. Their 8-game losing streak is the longest active losing streak in the league as they have now lost 9 of their last 10 games to date. Last but not least, jumping out to Los Angeles, the Clippers would host the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Clips would beat the Timberwolves 99-88. They would outscore the Timberwolves by 9 points in the 4th quarter, by 16 in the second half to overcome the Timberwolves' lead to win it. On the losing end of this matchup, the visiting Timberwolves were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard out of Georgia. Their former number 1 overall pick, Anthony Edwards, would finish with 19 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 5 turnovers as he nearly fouled out in 37 minutes. He would shoot 6 for 14 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and 5 for 7 from the free throw line. The Timberwolves' elite starting center out of France, Rudy Gobert, had 11 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 32 minutes. He would shoot 3 for 5 from the field and 5 for 7 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown LA Clippers would be led in scoring by their goated starting small forward, Kawhi Leonard. The 2-time NBA Finals MVP would finish with 19 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals as well in 31 minutes. He would shoot 7 for 18 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, and 4 for 6 from the free throw line. The Clippers' elite starting shooting guard, Paul George, finished with 17 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 assists in 33 minutes. He would shoot 4 for 13 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and 7 for 8 from the free throw line, as of course his triple-double would be very important in helping the Clippers secure this win. With this win, the Clippers are 17-13. They hold the 6th best record in the Western Conference. They sit 2.5 games behind the conference leading Pelicans and Grizzlies. The Clippers are on a 3-game winning streak as they've won 6 of their last 10 games to date. Only the Grizzlies have a longer winning streak in the Western Conference than the Clippers. And of course, with this loss, the Timberwolves are 13-15. They are holding on to the 5th worst record in the Western Conference as they sit 5.5 games behind the Pelicans and the Grizzlies. They are on a 3-game losing streak as they have now lost 7 of their last 10 games to date. So, of course, that brings us to where we are today in the NBA schedule. And today is Thursday, meaning that the primetime games are going to be on TNT today. Or, I'm sorry, today's going to be on NBA TV, my bad. At 8 o'clock, the Memphis Grizzlies, who are tied for the best record in the West, are going to host the Milwaukee Bucks, who have the second best record in the NBA overall. At 10:30, the LA Clippers, fresh off of a win against the Timberwolves, holding the sixth best record in the West, are set to host the Phoenix Suns, who now hold the fifth best record in the West. This game's going to be on NBA TV at 10:30. Outside of these games, the Houston Rockets, who hold the second worst record in the West, are going to host the Miami Heat at 8 o'clock. And then at 9, the New Orleans Pelicans, who hold the best record in the West, at least who are tied with the Grizzlies for that honor, are going to Salt Lake City to face off against the Jazz. We can see one outright winner in the West, one outright leader as of tomorrow, but that's where we stand as of right now. I do want to thank the ESPN, the NCAA, the FIFA, the NFL, NHL, NBA sites, and even the Wikipedia articles I need to give me all the stats and figures that I need. And I do want to thank everyone for listening. I hope all is well. I apologize for the names that I butchered, as I do plan on getting better. And with that said, I want to thank everyone for listening. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with more tomorrow. Thanks for listening, and peace out. Thanks for listening.